Right, hello. So something very cool. You may know what this is from the title. The thermal camera I bought from Hyperwave today, which is a really cool iRay T2 search. And right, Mr. Live here. And what this is, it's a thermal that's just decided on my phone to go off of the menu of the app I was using. And basically, it's a thermal that uses your phone's USB port as opposed to like the Flare, which uses its own thing. So you can take photos through your phone and whatever using it. And it's actually much better resolution and frame rate and everything than the Flare Scout is. So I might have to turn the brightness down on my phone screen for you to be able to see it properly on the actual, camera, because sometimes that can cause a problem. So let's try that again. Is that a bit clearer now? Yeah, I think you can see me a bit better there now, look. So there you go. And this one's actually focusable, which is really nice. So as you can see, that's probably on about focus. So obviously there's my hand. You can see where the hand's warmer and colder. I can change the color palette. So if you want it in classic white hot, like with the flares, you can do the same thing. There we go. There's the classic white hot. I think my hand's blocking the view of the camera. There we go. Obviously, weirdly, glass is block infrared. So there you go. That's it without that on. Let me put those back on so I can read the things on there. And there's different interfaces on here. So I can put the temperature one on, which is pretty cool. So I can do this look. So what this does is it will show you the temperature of different things in frame. So you can see what like the person's temperature is. If I hold up my mug of coffee, you'll be able to see that that's actually hotter, and it will tell you the temperature of the mug of coffee, which is always pretty cool. So you can actually drink it without burning yourself if you use this. But yeah, so this is cool. I'll be doing a load of videos of this sort of for night vision-y type things. So the difference between this and the Flare Scout is it does what this does. It's just higher resolution than the Flare Scout. It uses your mobile, which is a lot more practical. People's faces always look weird through thermal cameras because you're seeing the heat somebody's face gives off, not what their face actually looks like. Yeah, so evening to everybody. Let me see if I can get the Predator type one up, because what's the Predator one? Is it the yellow and red sort of one, isn't it? Like green, red, kind of. Let me turn the... Is this the Predator type one? Hang on. Is that the Predator sort of color scheme? I'm trying to remember now what the Predator one is. I think that's the Predator one, isn't it? As you can see, your mouth is hotter than the actual surroundings. Yeah, so you can focus it, and that's a really cool thing with this one. So you can use it at different distances, where with the Flare, it has like a fixed focus. Obviously, that's out of focus. Then if I do that, that's in focus. Then obviously that's out of focus the other way. So yeah, you can make yourself look like a bit of an alien there as well. I've still got the Torjets, I just don't smoke anymore, so I don't really have much use for them. So yeah, this is really cool. I'll definitely be doing videos of this. So for example, I can see here in this room, for example, that the heating is on behind the cupboard door there, because the cupboard door is 22 Celsius, where most of the room is about 19 Celsius. I can see the light bulbs on, obviously, because that's 33 Celsius. I mean, you can obviously see it out of your eye, but that's the interesting thing. No, central. Well, this doesn't detect radiation. I mean, it'll pick up things like strontium-90 if it's a big enough sample, because of decay heat from it. All right, Brighto, if you're saying good evening, are you? Because, yeah, YouTube hides you saying good evening. Yeah, so let me see if I can focus it on the wall behind me. I mean, I need a heat source on the wall behind me for it to focus properly on it. But is there anything on there that would actually be sort of visible? Probably not, because the problem is there's no heat sources on that wall behind me other than, bits of heat that are radiating from other things. Yeah, Fuzzy, I'll be doing a proper video on it, but it's pretty damn good. The only annoying thing was getting the software working for it, because it turns out my version of Android is too new to most of the versions they've got in the App Store. Yeah, didn't you watch the video, Nerd Central, where I did loads of readings on it? Oh, do you mean using this, like what heat it gives off? But that would only give off heat through the electronics working. You can't pick up X-rays through heat. These are a lot cheaper than proper night vision, as in, These are about £300 to £400, I think, RRP. These. So yeah, these are a lot cheaper than if you were, say. Problem is, obviously, if I hold it away from the webcam to show it, then it's too close to my face. But yeah, if you these are a lot cheaper than night visions, actually. These. All right, Mike. Still haven't felt great today. Today was one of those days where I was meant to be going to my granddad's and help him do stuff, and because my shoulder was still achy from the vaccine and that, I ended up just staying at home and sleeping a lot today. But yeah, so there's different color palettes for it, like with the flare, as you can probably see. That's good, Brighton. What's the stream about? What I'm showing you now, the thermal camera, although we can talk about other stuff. But yeah, Flazzy, I reckon you'd get good use out of this. I'll take it out with me tomorrow on a dog walk, and then tomorrow I can see it like picking up animals at different distances. I don't think any of the jabs are the worst, in the sense all of them have very good efficacy. AstraZeneca is absolutely fine. I don't know what the problem is with it. Well, there isn't one. It's just the EU being children, basically. I mean, whether or not you'd have preferential between Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson, there might be slight improvements, but the point is, if you're having them as a nation, better having, you know, a jab and not having a jab, because all of the blood clot stuff is total bullshit, as we were saying the other day, and that's coming out more and more in the news now. Is again the EU, sort of France or Germany or whatever, trying to shit on the vaccine, you know, doing what they do best. Oh, we didn't order them, so now it's the vaccine's fault again. It's like history repeating itself from a month ago. So what's Rainbow HC? Cool, there's two different versions of this. Let me focus it myself, and I'll see if I can. So there's, maybe it's high contrast, I don't know. So there's Rainbow HC, and then there's Rainbow. It's like a slightly different color contrast version of the same thing. Yeah, I'm not sure which one's better. I think one's got like the stuff that's not hot is darker. All right, so you're not going to be on Twitch till next Tuesday. All right, Mike. All right, Tyler. All right. As I've warned before, I'm getting rid of people that want to talk shit about vaccines. If you have no idea what you're talking about, don't talk about them. I don't know enough in-depth stuff about vaccines, so I don't talk about the in-depth stuff of vaccines. But, oh, this vaccine is risky and I won't prove any evidence. No, you're getting blocked. What one's that, Flazzy? Is that the scope one you were saying? Oh, so is it an actual phone that has a flare built in? That's pretty cool. Tell you what, do you want to see this with the lights off? Because obviously the thing is, this will look fine even with no room lights on. So let me do that. All right, another person making weird threats. He's been blocked. Right. So let's have a look. Let's focus me as good as possible. There we go. That's probably as focused as it's going to get. So as you can see, that's pretty good considering obviously the lights are off, but obviously thermal cameras don't need visible light. They work on the IR spectrum. So there's that on that mode. Let's put on the classic white hot. The only problem with white hot is it tends to white out a bit more, I find, like looking at that. Yeah, it's quite good in my opinion. So if I duck my head out the way, there might be stuff in the background you can just about work out. Look, so you can see the GP4 there. Look, if I focus in on that. But the problem is, obviously, you've got the problem of light reflecting off the phone screen when I try and do that. Well, on the camera, Vladimir, do you mean? Yeah, it's going to look like that because hair isn't really warm in the sense that, yeah, if you have obviously hair anywhere on your body, it's not going to look the same as when you have warm actual stuff. So same with beards and head hair. I mean, that you can see through that quite a bit there. Where the scalp is, you can see the temperature coming off. But so yeah, you can see the GP4 and all that fine in the background. Look through heat radiating off of it. Yeah, Flazzy, I reckon this would work better for that than the FLIR, just because you can focus it. The FLIR Scout, you can't focus. It has like a set focus on it. So yeah, I'll definitely do some videos of it tomorrow. But what I'll do is, yeah, try and see if I can get stuff for you focus like at the far end of a field, if it picks up a heat source from a deer or whatever. But yeah, overall this seems really good. So I'll definitely be doing videos with it, but yeah, it's like the FLIR, but basically better in every way is the good way of explaining it. You can see surprisingly a good amount of detail in the room with this, as in, through heat stuff. I can see obviously where stuff is plugged in over there because my Wi-Fi extender at that side of the room is running at 30 Celsius as opposed to being 12 Celsius like the rest of the wall. So that's pretty interesting. Wonder if there's any cables I can see running through the ceiling. Weirdly, the loft hatch is a bit warmer than the rest of my room, I guess because heat from the rest of the house is rising up to it. Yeah, it's quite cool, this stuff you can do with this. I don't know if it can say, can you have it this vertical way up? Does it work all right like that? Ah, good, it does. Okay, so one way you can also have it is like vertical like that. So if you wanted to, you can just hold it like that, which might be a bit easier. Steam, for the obvious reason I'm demonstrating a thermal camera. Oh, you don't buy a phone with that. It's literally this. Let me put that back on. So what this is just one of these. It's a thermal camera that plugs into a USB-C in your phone. You can actually run it on an extension lead if you want to and like tripod mount it or whatever. But as I said, you don't buy a phone with it. You buy these on their own. You can find them online. Well, if you mean heat that microwaves give off in the actual heat spectrum, yes. It's thermal camera. So it does what you'd expect a thermal camera to do, in the sense if it tells you the temperatures of different things that are in the area it's searching. So if something doesn't give off heat in the sense of you can feel if something's hot and cold, no, it won't tell you. Yeah, Hype did me one for about £320 or whatever it was a month ago. So you might be able to get one cheaper through Hype. But yeah, that for what they cost, that's still cheaper than the retail price of a FLIR Scout. And in comparison, this definitely is less focused. It's lower resolution, and it's a big clunky unit rather than just having something plug into a smartphone. Yeah, you can, Jim. I mean, what it basically is like is having a load of thermometers just pop up on the screen on everything you're looking at, so you can see heat at a different distance. And it's not too inaccurate when I was comparing it to like a manual thermometer. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yorkshire Tom. The Fred's prop room. Well, in the Fred's prop room, they actually had a load of dead bodies in there. I don't know if you know about this. Oh yeah, the good thing with these is you can plug them in both ways, can't you, with USB-C? So what I can also do, look, if you want to see the screen, is unless it only works one way around. It might only work one way around though, saying that, even though it's like a dual style connector. Yeah, I think it might only work one way round, saying that. Yeah, one of the cool things you can do with it, if I let me just show you, I'll take a photo and show it on the screen because it's easier to do it that way. So if I put the temperature thing on, and I focus it on my cup of coffee on the desk, what you can see there, if we get a photo of this, and I'll put it in some of the other color modes as well for you. All right, and then if I go onto the gallery for it, right, what you can see there, for example, well, I'll probably have to go into the gallery in my regular phone, will I? Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. So what you can see from this look is you can, if that wants to focus on there, you can see the temperature of the actual liquid in it itself. So my coffee is 40.6 Celsius at the moment. The hottest bit of the outside of the mug is 38.2 Celsius. And, you know, it was also showing me like the room temperature to the side. I bought it from Hype Jim, so if you've been following the channel for a while, you know he supplies me with stuff from China. It doesn't terrify me in the dark, because I know where everything is. The worst problem being in this room in the dark is tripping over and smashing your head in on something. But yeah, so this is overall really good. If you want to see what an animal looks like through it, from the brief look I had at an animal today using it, other than the person, that's what a bird looks like with it, if it focuses. But yeah, so overall it seems really good. So I'm definitely going to be doing a load of videos with this because, as I said, you know, you can do videos of it that you basically want to do for YouTube type stuff anyway, or I'd want to do. If you point it at the sun, it will tell you it's really hot, basically. If you point a, you know, if you point a any sort of thermal camera at the sun, basically it tells you that the sun is hottest towards the middle, but obviously you're too far away from the sun to know how hot it is. But basically it just wipes out that bit of the camera. It's a bit like looking at a ceiling light bulb with a flare. Oh, you mean the Second Amendment there, Stephen? I wondered what you meant by 2A. I thought you meant like a style of battery or something. Well, essentially, all I'll be doing tonight, if Mike's not on Twitch, is I might very briefly go out for a walk and take some thermal photos using that. Otherwise, I bought that Mr. Prepper game on Steam today because it finally came out. It might be total crap, but I want to have a look at it and see what it's like. You can just Vin, because I checked that earlier in the kitchen and you could see where people's footprints had been on the floor. What I can quickly try, let me sit up from my chair. Let me get it running. I'll sit up from the chair and I should be able to photograph using my heat imprint in the chair. So let me just do that for you. 1 second. Now we're demonstrating a thermal camera. So let me test this now. So if I get up from my chair, yeah, there we go, and I focus that in. And let me put it onto the multiple things. So let me go on to one of the color ones. There we go. Now let me show you the pictures. Yeah, maybe there'd be ghosts down there. I don't know. I mean, I can find heroin addicts down there in the dark using this, but I don't think that was the purpose of what this is for. So yeah, if I show you, look, what you can see there, look, is where my arse imprint was in the chair with the various temperatures, if it focus. All right, Mike. So yeah, see that? You can see one bit of where my arse was sat was 30 Celsius. The room temperature is 17.4 apparently. Another bit where my arse was 28.3. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can do that with all sorts of FLIR cameras. Like with a FLIR, if you have somebody sitting in the chair and they get up, there's always like a heat imprint at the shape of their body around it. Yeah, find the shape on it, Mike, assuming he's not the same temperature as background. You know, where he's just looks exactly like the stuff around him. What? You can see footprints with it as well. Let me just try and demonstrate that. So if I go back and I focus this at the floor. There's my sock. What I'll just do is let me stand out of frame a moment. Well, I don't need to be completely out of frame, but what I want to do is basically see if I can stand somewhere, then move my feet, and then you should be able to see that, you know, obviously there's the sort of temperature difference. There we go. Right, I've just done that by moving one of my feet briefly. So, it's the name of the stream. So yeah, if I just show you, well, it's not a night vision thing, Brighthole, so a flashlight shining into it, it'll just see the heat of the flashlight. It won't, like, blur it out. That's the good thing about thermals. You can't shine floodlight at them. Right, there you go. Here's a good example if it will focus on this and I can go left and right between them. So if that one focuses, right, so you can see I'm standing there with my socks on. Then see where I move my foot there? You get the heat imprint from the foot on the floor. Yeah, I don't know, Valentine Beholder, if there's any professional porn shot with like thermal cameras yet. I think they're missing out if they've not done that. But... bear in mind, some of those masks I borrowed, Zach, I don't own them, which I think I've said before. Well, on the webcam, it will just make the webcam blur out for ages, so there's no point. Yeah, just for science, exactly. But yeah, so I'll definitely be doing a load of videos with this. Also, my X-ray intensifying screen came today, so I'll get round to testing that out at some point, you know, so I can get the proper pictures of whatever I do with the X-ray. Yeah, so that's that anyway. So no, the X-ray machine, as I've said before, just go on AliExpress and you can order shitloads of X-ray equipment on AliExpress because it's just sold on there. So what, the PMK4s aren't as easy to get anymore? Just the thermal for this one, yeah. Yeah, the digital image, I deal with it a lot. There's not much to say other than see a doctor for the best help possible. Just try and, you know, keep active and whatever. It's one of those horrible things lots of people have to deal with, especially at the moment when you're forced inside, can't go to the jobs you're meant to be doing and all that. I don't know. I mean, I know reptiles are meant to be cold-blooded, but they still absorb temperature, don't they, from hot surfaces and like the sun. I've never tried looking at reptiles actually with a thermal camera. That's a good idea, but I don't own any reptiles, so you know. Oh, that's cool, Brighto. I don't have a 3D printer though. David, basically with an X-ray, the X-ray emitting device would heat up just like a light bulb heats up. It's just that you wouldn't see the X-rays as heat. So if that makes sense, what I'm saying is like, so the X-ray emitting device, that will physically get hotter, like lots of electronics get hotter. So it'd look the same as if you looked pretty much at any other electronic device that's turned on. Yeah, I hate birthdays, Nerd Central. The older you get, the more birthdays get annoying. Let me show you with the flare, not the flare. Let me show you the Nixie tube clock. What it will look like. It will be basically like that, I imagine, if you looked at an X-ray through it. So I'll take some heat things of it because you probably can't see it that well there. You can just about see it on the webcam, can't you? I'm aiming it there, but so you can see which bits of that are hottest of electronics. And it's that one, isn't it? To go to white hot. Yeah. Right. Hopefully this will show you what you wanted to see. So if I go to photos, right, yeah, so if that focuses. Yeah, it's not going to focus too well, but what you can see there, that's what electronics, I think the X-ray device would be like that, where you can see the heat coming off of the device, but obviously you don't see it as light. So light bulbs are quite weird, because if you look at a flare with a light bulb, it looks kind of similar to how your eye sees it, because the light is essentially heat coming off of it. What about top hats? I've never worn one. I suppose they look all right if you're Victorian, but we're not Victorians, are we? So. It has its own app, Flazzy, because obviously you have to be able to assign all the temperature controls to it. That's what saying at the start of the stream that was the only annoying bit. Well, yeah, Jim, because it's an infrared thing. It doesn't use a regular type of lens. That's how they work. So it only shows thermal wavelengths, basically, in the IR range, because it's a thermal camera. So basically how it works, Flazzy, is you plug it into your USB slot, and then you get the app on the Play Store or the on the Apple Store for it, which is free. But the only annoying thing, because I have quite a up-to-date version of Android, I think it's Android 10, you have to manually get the file from their site and install it, and my phone security kept trying to stop me installing it. But yeah, now that's all installed, it works fine. Basically, you load it up, it says, you know, permission to use the thing every time you click allow, and then it just shows you through the thermal. I've got some Dutch military gear, but not very much, Jim. It's one of those questions that comes up a lot, and probably soon less than that I have, because, you know, in fact, I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff. Favorite mask under £50? If you're really lucky and you can get a FM12 under £50, then that. Oh, thank you, Stephen. He said, I may need that for when the Chinese invade. I mean, it's Chinese stuff, so could you trust it? They might have a kill switch in it. Our government wouldn't help, and a proportion of the population, yes, would cheer for China. What, Biden's fans? Well, I mean, thermals are really good. Bear in mind, there's lots of different types of thermals you can get. If you want, you can just get a thermal like this, like the Flare Scouts, but they're more expensive and bulkier than what that is, because this is quite obsolete tech compared to this thing. I mean, if you compare the size of both these things, that's pretty massive size difference, isn't it? Now, I know, yes, this has the screen built in and everything in the image processing, So in theory, it's actually really comparing the smallest smartphone you could have this plugged on compared to the size of a FLIR. But this actual bit on it is higher resolution, you know, higher frame rate and everything than the FLIR is. That's a good point, Vladimir. I'll have to test that. Do I have a UV torch handy? No, not at the moment. Oh, and thank you as well, Brightor. I appreciate it. But yeah, for the people saying how much did it cost, I think about low £300 for me. Like, I think when Vladimir looked, the current sort of market price is about $450. They as inductive TK. So the point of them isn't that you see regular light, you use a regular camera for that. The point of thermals is to see like stuff in the dark that's warm, or, you know, judge the different temperatures. Like how a lot of people use them is if they're doing kind of jobs where they need to check temperatures on things. And then rather than going up with a thermometer to everything, you know, and taking taking the temperatures manually, what you do is you can just scan them across things and it will tell you all the temperatures at a distance. A lot of money, Nerd Central, so I wouldn't bother. I'd rather do that as a charity thing than anything else. But I don't know about TIK, but I've watched Sargon's videos, Stephen, but he's not uploaded very much recently, has he? He did one like 2 weeks ago, I think, a video, but all of his other videos like are over a month old. I think the problem is, Andy, I think it's that typical Chinese thing of where they give it loads of things. Let me get you their website up, because there's the Alibaba page, which we don't really want. But yeah, I think it's the problem where they have the typical Chinese kind of thing where, right, their actual site is called Infiniray. Okay, here's their site for you, Andy. So that's their actual site. So it seems they call them Infiniray, but obviously it looks like iRay on the thing because you don't really see the INF bit in the circle, so it just looks like iRay. Their app is called Exterm Infrared. So I guess it's actually Infinray, but generally you always see these put down as iRay on like different websites. But yeah, the T2 one I've linked, that's the one I've got there, the T2 search. So yeah, it says, I'll put that light more on me so you can see. So if you look at that, it says Infiniray on there, obviously, but the main visible bit is the iRay bit if you quickly look at it. Of course, that won't want to focus. And then the actual objective lens looks like that, and it's a focusable objective lens, unlike a FLIR. Yeah, because all I've got to compare it to, Andy, is my FLIR Scout, and I bought this for £400 a few years ago when they were 600 RRP, and this one had a damaged box, so they knocked 200 quid off of it, which was pretty good. And yeah, compared to the FLIR, it's higher frame rate, higher resolution. You know, so it's definitely better than the Scout. Don't get me wrong, I like the Scout, but you know, I like something that you can just literally plug into a smartphone. But yeah, the retail price of this compared to the closest retail FLIRs, they are quite a lot better, or FLIRs. I mean, I don't know if FLIR do one with almost the exact same specs that plugs into mobiles, because that would be interesting comparing the RRPs of either of them. Yeah, Canadian C3s are good masks for what they are. I mean, it'd been nice if they'd have put better straps on them, but weirdly, we were showing that the other day, weren't we? The C3, because that was one where somebody said, can you put on the C3? If you want, I'll put this on, and then you can see how a gas mask changes the heat, like, view of your face. Let's have a look. So I'll put this back in. Open up the app. And just wait for it to start focusing. There we go. Okay. So, right, where's that aimed at the moment? There's my head. Okay, so let's focus that in. Okay, so what you can probably see is obviously the voice diaphragm type bit is the warmest bit, because that's where my breath comes out. So So what you'll probably see, if I can get that focused a bit better, so obviously I'm trying to focus this looking into the webcam, which is always a bit of a pain in the ass. Oh, it's getting more out of focus there, isn't it? Let me focus it on the warmer part. If I focus on my head, that probably works better. Okay, so what you'll probably see is every time I breathe out with this or talk, the exhale valve bit gets a bit warmer, but for the most part, obviously, the mask hasn't warmed up to my head yet, so the mask just looks purple. So imagine I can draw a line on it with my finger. Yeah, see that? Because obviously, because that's rubber, if I put my hand on it like that, and then take my hand away, you'll get a hand imprint on the rubber. But yeah, for the most part, obviously the mask hides your face, because it keeps a solid coat. So obviously the glass you can see is a bit colder than the rest of it. But it's mostly the exhale valve section that's the warmest. I don't actually know, Zach. I've never looked at them too closely. I'm trying to think. I don't think my ARFA came with a canteen. But I think it's the same connectors, but whether or not the canteen looks different, I don't know, because there's different Avon like masks used by different countries that use different style canteens, just the same caps on them. Yeah, I've done a video like that before, Justin Vapor, but obviously I've got better night vision units now and better thermal units. Oh yeah, that's very good if you got an FM12 for a good price. How do you mean, Gamer Boy? I mean, the Scout's all right. The Scout is pretty simple. The Scout, you turn it on the top. Let's see if it's got a charge in it. I'll show you how you use this. So you open the cap up, like the rubber cap that protects the lens. You turn it on with a button on the top. The battery might be a bit too low, because the annoying thing to Scout, it has an internal battery and it drains when it's not in use. Yeah, and it's drained it. But basically, the Scout, just you change the like, you know, color palettes and all that, and the brightness using buttons on top of it. The Scout's pretty simple. It's just, you know, like a case of single press to do something, double press to do something. Thank you, Vladimir. Let's open that up and have a look. But I'd obviously say for the money that it still costs to get a Scout, those are much better value for money. So the T3S and the T3 Pro are the same resolution, but both of those are higher than the T2S. Both are 17 micrometer or whatever it is for pixel size. Waveband, they're all the same, 8 to 14 micrometer or whatever that is. Lens, so it's a bigger lens on the other ones. Focusing is manual on all of them, both at 25 FPS. Is that millikelvins, greater than or lesser than 500 millikelvin, whatever. Temperature range on all of them is -20C to, actually no, the Pro goes to 400 Celsius, the others are 120 Celsius. Again, temperature sort of precision thing depends, doesn't it, on how far I think extreme it is. Same with like when you're measuring radiation detectors. The weight's pretty much the same on all of them. You can manually correct the temperature if you want to. So yeah, I mean, all I think it's really going to be is the more expensive ones are probably going to be a bit higher res. What's the T range bit? Let's have a look. Oh, the measured temperature range. That's different on the finer one. The first two are both -20 to 120. But a T3 Pro looks like it's got less of a bit to do it. But if you're like me, you mostly just use those sort of cameras to see, is there something warm out in the dark, you know? I mean, if you're using it for a professional job where you need to take very precise heat measurements on things, I think you'd go for the most expensive thermal stuff you can get. But for me, it's like scanning a field at night. Oh, look, there's blatantly an animal or a person over there because, you know, how much hotter than they are in the environment. Oh, there's been a bit of politics. You've missed it, Nerd Central. There was a bit about Joe Biden and the Chinese invading America. So there has been politics today. Okay, yeah. Yeah, what I'm going to do that Reptile. The good thing is with this, when I do a video review of it, I can film using my regular phone camera, obviously, and then I can film using the same bit using the thermal on the phone. So you get a good idea of what the subject looks like. Because obviously the annoying thing is if I take something like this out in my pocket with me, it can't do regular video because obviously it's only got the one lens on it. So the nice thing, of course, with this is I can always take a photo of what I'm looking at if it's daylight, for example, with my regular phone camera, and then I can say, and this is how the thermal sees it, you know. That's a good point, Gamer Boy Blue. I mean, again, what I'd probably do with this, I'll dig something out for it later because it came with a nice packaging box, but I'll get one of my little plastic cases, I'll put some foam in it, and I'll probably keep that in there. So, you know, I can just have something that's very small. They'll actually fit in my wallet, I imagine, you know, this. So I could probably have this in like a nice padded little plastic case that seals up. Keep it in that to keep it dry and whatever when it's not in use. And then essentially just be able to unplug it and put it straight on your phone when you want to. That way you don't have to worry about it dropping out through the connector or whatever. Yeah, that's a good point, Vladimir. I've seen people as well, like looking at car engines, comparing like the cheaper FLIR ones to that. And yeah, these are way better than the FLIR ones. And then, you know, obviously, like you said, the more expensive high range ones are going to be, depends what you're doing, using it for, doesn't it? Again, if like I think I said, if you're using it for a job that entails getting very precise reading measurements off of different things, then yeah, you probably need a very expensive FLIR type camera with very little, you know, false readings of temperatures. But again, my purpose is messing about with a thermal camera and seeing like deer in the woods. I like porridge. Or do you mean a TV show Porridge, Nerd Central? Did you see the awful, like, remake modern Porridge they did? I couldn't even get through one episode of that. Oh, food porridge. Yeah, porridge is nice. Eaten pretty much the world over under different names. Oatmeal, porridge, probably lots of different names. I know where I've been to loads of countries, you can get porridge in lots of places. It's, you know, just a standard thing. Oats and water or oats and milk, you know. It's a pretty simple thing. Ah, Litter Picker, I've done something a bit like that. When I reviewed one of the Ukrainian bars suits, you know, a bit like their version of Gorka suits, I showed them in that, and you could see how good they are at trapping your body heat in for obviously cold weather use because of the fact that the outside of the thing looks a lot more like, you know, room temperature than regular clothing does. That's cool. So you can even make your own apps for them. That's very cool, Vladimir. I'm not a fan of sparkling water, but if people like it, they like it, you know. That's cool. Shiravi, any particular use for it, or just you mean filter as in using it for gas filtering type thing? Yeah, I won't be on too much longer tonight, because ideally I might want to go out and get a little bit of footage with this in a minute. I might, you know, put a jacket on and just go out for a very short walk, just to go out into the fields and see if I can spot any deer or cats or whatever. Just for cosplay, what? So you can have a filter without any filter medium in it. You might have mentioned that before, and I've just forgotten. But yeah, that makes sense. That way, you're not huffing anything you don't want to huff if you've got a little filter box on. So yeah, if people want to see that as tomorrow's video, I'll just do that as tomorrow's videos. I can't give you an opinion on a short walk. It's a nice thing to get out and do and get some exercise. But if you're doing it where I am, you also have to put up with drug addicts just hanging around now. So there's that. So I will be on my guard. So I might put my ECBA on just in case when I go out. And that gives me also a bit more weight on my shoulders for a bit of exercise. But yeah, the don't know if I'll bother taking out like my NNVT night vision tonight or whatever. I might just go out with the thermal. But yeah, so if people, as I'll be talking to each other, so if people want to see that, I'll do that as tomorrow's video, just doing a quick comparison, like a quick review of it. Like I'll do a proper, more detailed one in the future. If people just want to see one for tomorrow, that's what it looks like outside on the different image things, scanning the fields and some photos for it, I'll do that because I think it might interest a load of people. And like I said, I could go out and film that right now because I'm quite motivated to go out and, you know, get some fresh air and use that and see if I can spot any rabbits or deer or whatever. Yeah, exactly, Mike. There's lots of factors, isn't it? That means it can be enjoyable or not enjoyable. I hope that goes all right for her, Justin Vapor. Does she know which vaccine she's getting? Because I know you technically don't know in advance unless your doctor's recommended you have a particular one. But I know sometimes you can know because if you get to choose where you book to have your vaccine done, I pretty much knew I'd get the Oxford AstraZeneca where I was booking mine because of the fact it was like a village hall without the infrastructure for big freezers for the Pfizer. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, what I'll do is put the video up tomorrow for the thermal thing because that will be quite easy for me to do. But yeah, like I said, I've been quite tired again today. I had a big sleep today, but you never know if any of that's the vaccine. Like it could just be a thing that you've ended up getting something else at around the same time as you've got the vaccine. And again, like I've said, I'd much rather, if I'm not on a day where I'm meant to be working every day, much rather have a few vaccine side effects and get an actual disease. Yeah, I'll do a stream tomorrow, Nerd Central, probably in the evening as usual. I'm going to go dog walking tomorrow in the morning or afternoon, so I'll get some thermal stuff done then, but I do want to get some thermal stuff done tonight just to see what it's like when it's dark. Actually, what I might do then is only go for a very short walk tonight, just see what it looks like, you know, at round and about on the streets, you know, street lights and that and different temperatures, and then on the dog walk tomorrow, get a load of outdoor pictures. I might do a members one tomorrow, Nerd Central, just because a lot of them have been public this week. Yeah, well, you can avoid fresh dog shit quite easily, Vladimir, because if the dogs have done a shit recently, the thermal camera will warn you of a bright glow. Yes, I have. I do, Maclas. You can see my videos on them. Anyway, I'll be off now. Thanks, everybody that's come on. It's been quite a good, enjoyable stream. And for the people that still don't know why was this one in the dark for a load of it, well, that was simply just because I was showing the thermal camera, and they look more impressive when it's dark, because obviously you can have a pitch black room and the thermal can still see, whereas most night visions can't with an infrared illuminator. Or the Hounds of the Baskervilles. Anyway, yeah, I'll go get some pictures or short bits of video with it in a minute, and then I'll get some more footage of it tomorrow, and then I'll put a video on tomorrow evening at some point, just giving an initial review. Well, my initial review is I like it, basically, but just, you know, showing you some actual footage. I want to get some video as well, so you can see the better frame rate video it does compared to the Flare, because the Flare, I'll definitely at one point do a TK Scout when I charge it up, you know, direct comparison with this, but basically the TK Scout is worse in every way for the most part, just because the TK Scout is a much lower resolution screen, much lower resolution sensor, you know, lower frame rate. It's basically worse in every way, and I imagine the battery won't last as long because this thing is dependent on your phone's battery, how long it lasts. And I've got a Moto, is it G9 Power? You know, one of the really good Motos for stupidly big battery length, because I like the idea of I charge your phone and then I can leave it not charged for several days and use it. Did it give you a load of fatigue, Jeffrey? Because mine gave me a load of fatigue. I'm hoping I'm sort of coming out of that now, but I get quite a lot of fatigue anyway, which I think is an ulcerative colitis thing. I'm having to remember every day now to take these because I always forget iron supplements, because I think a lot of my problems might be low blood iron, because you do get anemia for ulcerative colitis anyway. and I've had to go into hospital before for iron infusions. So I think a lot of it might just be a blood iron thing, but I'm just shit at remembering. Like, I remember to take all of my essential medications per day, you know, take these so you don't die meds. But for some reason, I can keep these on my desk and still forget to take, like, you know, a daily iron supplement, which I'm probably, you know, well overdue because I'm bleeding out my ass every day. So there's that. Anyway, I will let you all get on. Have a good evening. Yeah, Iron Curtain. That might help. Yes, comrade. But yeah, so I'm going to get a bit of footage now with the iRay outside, just so you can see what it's like in what would be pretty much, you know, dark with just a bit of moonlight and street lamp sort of view. Yeah. Oh, you're saying Astorska then? I thought you said AstraZeneca then, Central. Well, begun the vaccine wars have. Yeah. Pfizer grad versus AstraZeneca. The Republic of Johnson & Johnson. Right, anyway, I will be off now. Have a good evening, everybody. And tomorrow there will be a load of footage with this, hopefully. Right, see ya.